Hello. Hello. Hello, Jay. Hey, if it's your first time, can you put your hand in the air? No, I knew there was going to be so many liars in the room. God, I don't know why I asked that anymore. No, it's not. Simon, you've been here for too long. Just kidding. You've been here the right amount. But hey, my name's TJ. If I haven't met you, I'd love to get the chance to hang out with you, talk to you. We can rock, paper, scissors. I guarantee I'll beat you. Guaranteed. No, not right now. No. Not right now. No, you need to prepare mentally for the beatdown that's about to happen when I throw triple scissors, okay? I'm going to beat you, okay? But hey, my name's TJ. I'm excited you're here. This is Elevate. It's a loving place, even though there's some awkward people here. It's a great place to be. It's amazing. Right now, tonight, we're starting a brand new series, a 3-week series on youths, okay? And if you didn't know, let me just say this. Y'all are the youths, okay? Some of your leaders are also youths. Some of them are also AARP members. So I won't say who's who, but it's a great organization. Discounts. But no, you guys are the youths. And what's funny is every time I say the word youths, I always say, in my head, I say youths, okay? Hey, you're the youths, okay? And if you don't know where that's from, again, to show that I'm not one of the youths anymore, I just turned 29, thank you. For those of you that thought I was 40, you can leave, okay? But no, I'm 29. Somebody genuinely looked at me and said, no way you're not 43. And I said, shh. But no, but whenever I see the word youth or youths, in my head I always go youths. And it's because of this amazing movie that came out in the 90s. I know, you've read about this in textbooks, called My Cousin Vinny, and it was something like this.
The two youths.
To what? What was that word?
What word?
To what?
What?
Did you say utes?
Yeah, two youths.
What is a ute?
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. Two youths.
It's two youths. Sorry. Where's the lights? There they are. But it's My Cousin Vinny. It's a great movie. It's an okay movie. It's not great. But every time I see it, I think of Joe Pesci saying youths, and so that has nothing at all to do with what we're talking about tonight. But I just wanted to share a little bit of my heart and what I think about whenever I say that word. But here's the thing, right? When we're talking about the youths, okay, there's this thing. You see, throughout history, throughout God's word, throughout just all of this crazy stuff, God uses young people for some incredible things, right? For many of you, when you think about doing great things, I know as I talk to a lot of you, you go, well, I'll be able to do great things when I'm older, or when I can drive, when I'm adult, or when people actually listen to me. Anybody feel like that because of how old you are, people don't listen to you? Let me share this, okay? I still feel that way, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Everybody get up for Olivia Gelvin. You know what? Olivia, I have a prize for you. Olivia, I have a prize for you. Olivia, I have a prize for you. Come here. Yes, it does. I have a prize for you. Shh. Olivia, I have a prize for you. I'm serious. Olivia. I have a prize for you. Again, we're talking about youths and old people. I'm not going to hurt you. Why are you holding your ears? What do you think this is? She's like, okay. This, for the AARP members in the room, you know what it is. This is a DVD player. I know you might have read about one of these in history class. It also comes with an amazing movie, Tron Legacy. Sheesh, you're welcome. There you go. That, again, had nothing to do with my message, but congratulations. But you see, here's the thing. When it comes to youths, or the youths, right, which is you guys, what I want you guys to understand is that God uses you all throughout history and in some incredible, incredible ways, right? But here's the thing. As I started thinking about my youth, okay, when I was younger, many of you guys have heard my story as I've shared every single week a little bit about me. I was a very lazy youth, okay? I was a very unmotivated youth. I was somebody that you would not look at and say, man, that guy's going to do something special. You would look at me back then, a long time ago, and you would say, wow, that guy's probably not going to do anything in life, right? Because I was unmotivated. I was lazy. But again, what I want you guys to understand, because some of you might feel that way, like you're lazy, unmotivated, like you don't really have a whole lot that you're striving for. But God's going to use you when God's going to use you, okay? That's what I want to make sure you guys understand tonight. And as we're all so intently listening right now, God is going to use you at a time that you might not understand, at a time that you might not agree with. I know, that one's hard to hear, right? There are going to be moments where God uses you that you go, this doesn't make sense. Because maybe at this season of my life, I'm unmotivated, I'm lazy, I'm whatever. But God is going to use you. And so tonight, if you've got your notes or whatever, if you've got a Bible, awesome. We're going to dive in just a minute. But I got some notes that we're going to start throwing up here. Let's just put that first one up here as we dive in. Okay? This is what it's all about. Okay? As a Christian, this is what we are striving for. Okay? To be used by God to do great things. Am I right? If you call yourself a Christian, if you call yourself a believer, would you agree with that? Like that's what we're shooting for, right? Imagine if you were on a sports team and you showed up every day and you never wanted to actually play. Would that make any sense? No. Yeah? Too scared? Okay, that's valid, for sure. But imagine if scared wasn't a part of it. But imagine if you showed up every day to something, but you never actually wanted to be involved in that. Would that make any sense? No, it wouldn't, right? That would be lazy, be unmotivated. But you see, as Christians, which is many of us in this room, this is the goal, is to be used by God to do great things. Now, I want to also make sure that we understand there are different levels and different perceptions of what great is, okay? Like for me, a great day could be like having cake batter ice cream from Cold Stone, okay? For some of you, a great day has to be like, I don't know, what? Tell me, what do you got? Disneyland, okay. I personally, Disneyland's great, but it stresses me out, okay? So that's not a great day for me. But here's the thing. Everybody has a different standard of what great is, okay? But again, this is the goal of being a Christian. Now, I want to speak to a different group of people in the room, okay? For some of you, maybe this is your first time, maybe you've been here for a while, but you would not call yourself a Christian. You're here for the people, which is amazing. We have, honestly, I truly believe this, and I say this to people all the time, we have the best community in the entire world here at Elevate. Okay, I really believe it. Outside of my small group. I'm just kidding, AJ. Don't blow kisses at me. Okay. Gosh. No, but for real, I genuinely believe that if this is your first time or you're new here and you go, I don't get this whole God thing, I don't believe it, I don't trust it, it doesn't make sense to me, it just sounds like this old book, like no one cares, that's fine. Guess what? You are still welcome here. You belong here. We want you here. If you've been here for a long time and you still feel that way, guess what? That is A-OK. We love you. We want to high-five you. I'm still going to beat you at rock, paper, scissors. It's going to be amazing. But if you call yourself a Christian, I want you guys to understand, this is the goal. This is what we're shooting for. This is what we strive for. This is what we want. Okay? Daily as we live our lives, we want to be used by God to do great things. But here's the deal. To do this, you've got to be all in. Okay? We need to be all in. Because if we're not all in, guess what? You're not paying attention. You might miss something. You might be so focused in another area or maybe not focused on this area of God that you're not ready to be used in a great way because you're not aware of what's going on with God, right? Again, it's kind of like if you're on a sports team and you want to play, but you're just kind of like, it's like, okay, High School Musical, people. Zac Efron. He was so torn between basketball and theater. Didn't he sing a song about it? How does it go? I don't remember. Multiple. You're right. The whole movie's about that. My bad. What? No, it's the one where the lights go, and he goes, my head's in the game, but my heart's in the song. That one, right, Rachel? What's that one called? Is that the one with the basketball? It's like, doom, 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 doom. Gotta get your head in the game. Gotta get you. Is that one? Thank you. Thank you. I got it. Okay. Again, I'm old enough to have seen that movie the night it came out on Disney Channel. Okay. But imagine if you're like Zac Efron in High School Musical, where your head's one place but your heart's somewhere else. Here's the problem. You're going to give 50% to each thing, and you're never going to be fully invested. You're never going to be ready to succeed in either one fully. So you see, as Christians, as youth, as youthful Christians. See, I'm combining words here. To do all these things, you have to be all into the plan that God has for you and be ready to say yes to what that plan is. Because guess what? As we're going to read in the Bible, in this amazing book of events, okay, we're going to see how God might show up and call you to something when others would say you're not ready. Or you might even say, I didn't even know that was happening right now. Like, God showed up? No, God's never showed up in my life. But when you look backwards, you go, oh, dang, it's because I wasn't focused. I wasn't paying attention. Oof, that's tough. We miss a lot of great moments in life when we're not paying attention, am I right? Like so many times. But here's the deal. As youth, got to be all in. Got to be ready to go. Got to be ready to jump in. Got to be fully invested or you'll miss it. Now, you got your Bible. We're going to open up to 1 Samuel chapter 17. Okay? 1 Samuel chapter 17. Many of you have heard this story. That's okay. We're going to have a little different take on this one tonight, a little different perspective how we look at it. 1 Samuel is right there. It's in giant letters on a big screen in the room. Nailed it, Shay. You're my hero. Okay. 1 Samuel 17. Here's the thing, though. I want to get away from, and hey, every time I come up here, what do I say? Anything I say to you, I'm either processing through or struggling with. A llama? Oh, I do say that. Take the llama, shut it down, okay? But here's the deal. Way too often, this is not really about what I'm talking about, but that's something I really wanted to bring up. Way too often, when we refer to the Bible, we say, hey, we're going to read the story of, right? We're going to read the story of this person, the story of Jesus. Here's the problem with that as I started kind of processing through it. These are events, not stories. You guys agree with that? These are events, not stories. And here's the difference. Stories leave room for it to be not true. Right? When you hear a story, usually it's a book that somebody wrote, right? Hey, we're going to read this storybook. We're going to read it. Oftentimes, just the word story has this connotation, has this idea that somebody just wrote it and kind of thought of it, right? But these are actual historical events that happened, okay? And so a challenge for me as I was kind of processing through this is I want to get away from saying the word story when it comes to the Bible, okay? Can we all do that together? Yes? Yes, we're all agreeing because you're here. Yes, are we good? Noah, yep. Yeah. Noah's in, okay. We're going to say the event of somebody, okay? And tonight we're going to talk about the event of David and Goliath. And again, many of you have heard this story. But the beautiful thing about the Bible is you can never read something too many times. Agreed? Every time I read it, there's something new. They're not just stories, but they're life-changing events. So every time you read it, your life can be changed. Right? The cool thing is, see, on weekends, what we do is we pick a book and we go through it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Similar to what our parents do in the adult service, we go through a chapter a week, right? Really slowly. But the really cool thing, right now we're in Genesis. I've read Genesis probably 50 times in my life, right? It's the beginning of everything. It's a long book, but I've read it so many times. Every single time I read it, something else stands out to me. Every single chapter. All the time. So that's what's really cool. Is that this is a book of life-changing events, which means your life can be changed every time you open it. Pretty cool, right? All right, so 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 4. We are going through the book of David and Goliath. Okay, so here's what's going on so far in the story. If you haven't read this, that's okay. Here's what's going on, okay? There's these two armies. The Israelites are in a battle, okay? The Palestinians are on one kind of hilltop. The Israelites are on another. There's this field down below, and they are fighting. They are battling. What? Dang it. Gosh. Nathan, you're so smart. Okay. Everybody get up for Nathan. See, I'm telling you, it's a habit I got to break. It's a habit. All right, you keep calling me out, okay? It's the story of David and Goliath. Just kidding. It's the event of David and Goliath. Great job. I love it. But here's what's going on, right? Okay, so the Israelites are fighting the Palestinians, and they've got this big battle. But here's the thing. What they would do back then is instead of having their whole army fight each other, because guess what happens? Not everybody. Half of everybody dies, okay, which is not good. So what they would do is they would send out their biggest, baddest, best soldier to the middle of the field, and they'd say, hey, we're going to send out our best. You send out your best. They're going to fight. Whoever wins, the loser has to submit to the rule of the king of the winner no matter what. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. No rock, paper, scissors. No 2 out of 3. This is one and done. Wow! Like that, right? Okay? So that's what they would do back then, okay? So all of a sudden, the Palestinians, they send out this guy named Goliath, okay? I need Jay and Nathan to come here really quick. This isn't going the way you think it's going, okay? Okay, right here, okay. Okay, Nathan, can you get on Jay's shoulders, please?
We already did it during the
I know, that's why I called you, because you did it during worship. Okay. Well, there we go. Gosh, okay, so these two lovely gentlemen are going to represent Goliath, okay? Sammy, no. Okay, so now, how tall do you think he is? They are.
I think 7 foot.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
You're 6 foot? I remember when you were this tall. Okay.
Wait, you knew me when
Nathan is this tall. Okay.
Oh, that's
Let's say they're 7 foot. Okay, pretty tall. Okay, now I need somebody super savvy. Come here. I'm sorry. I looked at you and knew you were short. Okay, don't trip. I know everything looks bigger to you. Okay. Just kidding. No, you can't stand. No, down here for effect. You can't stand. Okay. Okay, stand. Okay. So now imagine, this is great. Imagine this is David. Okay? Do you guys understand the perspective here? Okay, now here's the difference though, okay? If you look in your Bible, in chapter 4, we're going to read about Goliath. Okay, so you guys can sit down. This is so amazing. But imagine this picture. Great job, Sabby. And then give it up for the boys. Are you going to sit down with him? Are you going to the bathroom together? That's weird. You're not actually one person. If Nathan pees, Jay feels it. Okay, all right. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. That's weird. But anyways, okay. So check this out. So David and Goliath, that's our event, not story, our event. So check it out. So verse 4. Chapter 17, verse 4 says this. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span. Okay? Do you guys know how tall that is? No. Anybody know how tall he was? No, not quite. 9 foot. 9 inches. Ernie gets it. AARP for the win. Okay. 9 foot 9 inches, 6 cubits and a span. Okay, it's so weird how they say it. Okay, so he's almost as tall as an NBA rim, NBA basketball hoop. That's huge. If they were 7 feet, imagine 3 feet taller almost. Right? That's crazy. But this guy named Goliath walks out. The Philistines send him. The Philistines say, "Hey, bro, nobody's gonna beat Goliath. Nobody's gonna be able to beat this guy because he's massive." Okay? He's huge. He's like Shaq, but bigger and faster. But can't eat spicy foods the way Shaq can. Okay? But all of a sudden, as they send him out, okay, as they send out Goliath, what do you think the Israelite army did? Everybody lined up to go fight him, right? No! What do you think would happen? Everybody's scared. Everybody ran back to their tents and like peed in the corner and was just terrified, right? I know for me, like I look at Aaron, I don't even want to fight Aaron because he's taller than me, okay? Hey. He's got speed, but if I get momentum, there's no stopping this machine, okay? Aaron's like 13. But all of a sudden, everybody runs. Everybody's terrified. Everybody's scared of Goliath, okay? Imagine armies come out on the hill. They're chanting. They're beating their chests. They're hitting their shields to make noise. They're excited. They're, as like Rachel, right? Yeah. They're getting crazy. But all of a sudden, Goliath walks out. And everybody goes, "Not me," right? It's my birthday. I can't fight today, right? Everybody's just freaking out. But all of a sudden, introduce this guy named David. And he's about to change this story. And again, many of you have read this. But what I want you guys to understand is that in this moment where God was calling, David was not expecting. David was not ready. David was not prepared, and David was young. David was just a kid. He's youth. He was like you guys. But the way that he stepped up, you see, David was the youngest, and he was left behind as they went off to war to take care of the sheep, right? And the biggest, scariest thing that ever happened, which is pretty big and scary, is he would have to fend off the bears and the lions and the wolves from the sheep, right? But he didn't actually have to get into these big old fights. You know, he'd probably bang a bucket or whatever, or get into whatever he had to do. But David was young. David was small. David was seen as less than for one reason, because he was the youngest. If he was the middle kid, guess where he would have been? On the front lines of the battle. But he wasn't. The whole reason that David wasn't there to see Goliath in the first moment everybody else saw him was because he was young. He was the afterthought. He was the, you're not good enough, you're not big enough, you're not strong enough. The men will go fight, the older people will go fight, the more experienced people will go fight, but we need you to just stay, little guy. We need you to just stay behind and just be a little kid. Anybody ever feel that way in life? Anybody ever feel like people look at you that way? Anybody ever heard the phrase, stop, the adults are talking? Right? Like, it's valid, right? Now, I'll say this. Sometimes y'all need to hear that, okay? Because y'all, like my small group. But you see, David was left behind and told to stay because he was young. It's the only reason. But all of a sudden, as the story gets going, as Goliath shows up, David then has to go to the battle, to go see what's going on, to bring food, to go travel out there, right? That happens at times in war. But you see, David wasn't scared. David had something that nobody else had in this moment. David had God who had a plan for his life. Now again, was David prepared? Nope. He didn't march off to battle knowing he was going to fight a giant. He didn't march off and get a suit of armor and a sword and everything ready to go. He didn't. David just showed up to go see what was going on. David just traveled to go see, hey, what's going on out here? Nobody called him and said, hey, David, we need you to come save us. Nobody looked to David and said, hey, you're the most experienced guy we have. You're probably the one who's going to take care of this. Nobody looked at David and said, you are the one that we choose. Except God did. You see, even being young, God said, I choose you. So let's jump to verse 31. It says this. You see, David at this point, he says that I want to fight Goliath. Okay, and again, being so small, being so young, being so little, everyone kind of laughs. And right first he says, can I speak? Can I have a voice in this argument? Can I have a voice in this? 31. What David said was overheard and reported to Saul, who was king. And Saul sent for him. David said to Saul, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. Saul replied, you are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth. You see, right here, Saul is trying to justify why you're not good enough. Guess what? You're just a child. You're just a kid. I know it's cute that you want to do something but you're not good enough. I've been in your shoes to hear those things, to feel those things, to be looked at that way. But David wasn't disheartened. David didn't say, okay, Saul, you're right. I'm going to go home and watch the sheep so you men can do the fighting. But David said to Saul, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. David wasn't prepared for this moment. David wasn't old enough for this moment. David wasn't experienced enough for this moment. But David had God on his side to say, David, you're the guy. You see, at times you're going to have people who defy the living God, who push back against what we believe, that there's a one true creator who created you, loves you, and intends an amazing life and plan for you. You're going to have people who push back against that and fight you, maybe not in a physical form or a battle like this, but with words. They're going to push you down and say that what you believe is wrong. That what God has called you to, that there's no shot that you actually heard that, right? There's no shot that God would use you. Maybe when you're older, God will do something with you. Maybe when you're old enough to own your own business, you can make a change. Maybe when you have enough money. No. God showed up in David's heart, and David knew that I'm prepared to go down. I'm prepared to fight with God by my side. And David went out. Saul tried to give him armor, but it didn't fit. And David said, no, I got this. We got a couple stones. He got a slingshot. He goes out. He fights Goliath. He beats Goliath. Then he doesn't just beat Goliath. You know what he does? He grabs a sword and he chops his head off. And then you know what he does? He carries it around Jerusalem. He's like, right? He had the confidence not because of experience, not because of age, not because he had done something in his life worthy of this confidence. He had confidence and understanding because God showed up in his life and said, David, you are the guy. Because God entered his heart and David knew, I am protected and loved and cared for, and there's a plan in my life because of the one true living God cares for me and created me for that in this moment. Not when I'm older, not when I have a family, not when I have money, not when I have a house or a car, not when I graduate college. God is going to use me now. But you see, for some people, we get scared or we get told that we're too young, that we can't do it. But there are going to be people in our lives who push back against what you believe, and you might be in this point where you go, well, when I'm older, I'll be able to fight back. When I'm older, I'll be able to have that conversation with them and convince them and show them that there is a God that loves them and cares for them and created me and you. But not yet, I'm too young. But see, the problem is, as believers, we need to be ready to defend our faith. As believers, as Christians, as people who believe in the one true God, we have to be ready to stand firm and fight the way that David did. He wasn't ready. We won't be ready. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We have to be ready to defend your faith. You see, David, when he showed up, there was zero fear, but there was readiness. Zero fear, but readiness. Again, in verse 40, then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in his pouch, his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. You see, with this confidence, with no experience, with no age, he just grabbed a few stones, he grabbed his staff, that's it. You know what he had that Goliath didn't? God. You know what he had that Goliath didn't? Understanding that there's a creator who loves him and has his back. But here's the other thing too. As David whips that sling and throws that rock and takes him out, there's something we also have to understand a little bit too. The odds are that Goliath wouldn't be taken down by just a stone, right? Which means that God really had a plan, right? Imagine going out there with a slingshot and some smooth stones. Like, I know if I had a few stones and a slingshot, I couldn't take Aaron down. He'd just keep running at me, right? Here's what this means. That God intervened. That God had a plan. That God knew, this is what I'm calling you to do. This is the confidence I need you to show. I've got your back. David, trust me, let's go. Grab the stones, let's go. And for some of us, when it comes to our plan with God, when it comes to others pushing back on us, when it comes to others fighting us and saying that what we believe is wrong, sometimes we've also got to let God fight for us. We've got to let God's plans go further than our own comfortability, our own understanding. Sometimes you just have to get out of the way and let him fight for you, right? Sometimes you just got to let God say, God, I don't get it. You want me to grab some rocks? That's it. All right, God, I'm going to do it. I don't know how it's going to work out, but let's just do it. Whatever. I trust you. I love you. I believe in you. Let's go. You got to let God's plan work. You got to let God's plan reveal itself, unravel itself, to show us that he's with us. We got to have that confidence. Another cool thing that oftentimes, especially in today's world, you're going to be told time and time again is that there are other things that are more powerful than God or more easier to believe in, more They just make more sense. Like, right? You have all these arguments, but there is no God as powerful as our God. There is not one. There's no God powerful. There is no other God. But you will hear that there are other things as powerful or more powerful or better to believe in than God. But I want to make sure you understand that there is not. And the last thing I want you guys to understand is that God doesn't have an age requirement for you to make a difference. You are going to be told time and time again, you're too young, you're too small, you're not good enough. When you're older, when you have this, when you've accomplished that, then you'll be able to make a difference. Then you'll be able to go and save everybody from world hunger. Then you'll be able to go and do. But you know what? Great has different levels and different standards to every one of us. There is no age requirement for God to be able to use you to make a difference. The band's going to come up right now and we're going to worship. You see, the cool thing is that even in worship, I've been to a lot of churches, right, or places where the youth don't have a good worship culture, a good worship experience, because that's, you worship and you sing when you're an adult, when you're in the adult service, right? I don't believe that. I've told you guys many, many, many times, I don't ever want to be anywhere worshiping than in this room with you guys. This is the best place to be for the energy, for the passion. But guess what? Even in worship at times you might be told you're too young. Hey, the worship is too loud. God wouldn't be shouting like that. It hurts my ears because the Spirit's moving. Whatever that is, right? Even in worship, being young isn't wrong. Even in worship, even in our small groups, right? Some people might say, well, you know, you'll be in a real small group when you're an adult in one of our life groups. No, we do this because it matters right now. There is no age requirement for God to use you to make a difference. And I want you to understand that and believe that tonight. So right now, I want everybody to stand up. Don't be distracted. Don't talk. Don't talk. Don't talk. As I hear so many of you talking right now. Shh. We're going to dim the lights. We're going to get ready to worship. And what I want you to do right now, okay? You see, many times as young people, we're a very distracted group of people. And yes, I said we, right? We easily kind of look to the left, look to the right. We're crazy, right? There's beauty in crazy. But I also want us to not miss out on the opportunity right now that we get to experience God together as a group of young people. There's something beautiful in your guys' voices singing to our God. Let us worship our God as the youth, as the young, as not the next generation, but the current generation who's ready to change the world by believing in who our God is and not waiting until we're older. Let us worship.